Mic check.
Mic check.
I said mic check.
Mic check.
We the people.
We the people
Have come united.
have come united
To stand against. The agents of greed. Who walk these halls. And rob our communities. And turn us against each other. In pursuit of profit. We see clearly now. And now things must change.
I want to talk about solidarity. I want to talk about what's going on Wall Street. And what's going on in Olympia. And everywhere in between.
This movement is not, there's no unifying banner that this movement can get under. This movement is made up of 99% of the world's population, and not all those people agree on everything. Most of these people don't agree on anything, actually. And so this is like people's movement, you know? This is not people rallying around anything. This is not people rallying around a person or an idea or a flag or coming up with like a statement or a goal. This is just people coming together and saying like something needs to happen because this isn't working.
I'm here because I'm sick and tired. Of being demoralized. Of watching politicians. Tell us one thing. And do the opposite.
The world I was born into and the society I grew up in was different. It had an orientation. At 15, 16, 17, I knew I could find my place in life. I knew I'd be able to get a job. I knew I'd be able to what? Marry the girl I love, have a family, raise them. Society today has lost its orientation. Therefore, the old society is crumbling and being restructured. And for me, because Occupy goes beyond a job, beyond workers and their employees, to me, it's the beginning of a new social movement.
Yeah, it's very new, and I consider it experimental in itself, because nothing else has happened like this in the U.S. in our history of political protests.
We're not a movement that has demands. What this is an invitation. It's actually an invitation to get involved, an invitation to speak your voice. I think what the Occupy movement is about is actually, rather than making demands, it's about listening.
The General Assembly is at 6 tonight. It's a slightly different format. It's more of direct participatory democracy by consensus.
So let's begin with a welcome. And should we go over hand signals? Hand signals. Of course we should. Yes, of course we should. We have the twinkle. This means I agree. I like it. You rock. We have the concern. This means I'm not too sure about that. That may cause some problems.
That's helpful because, you know, somebody's words can drown out somebody else's words, and then maybe somebody doesn't get heard. But with hand signals, we can see what's going on and then react to it. It takes us a long time to come to consensus, and it's painful a lot of the time, and it extends into the night. You know, it's dark, you can't even see hand signals after a while. But I think that it's important that we're taking time and care to do that, because everybody's ideas need to be heard, and we need to make sure that it's as democratic as possible.
My proposal for the stack would be to discuss having working groups of the oppressed, and that way people that are oppressed, such as women, trans people, queer people, people with disabilities, people of color, so on and so forth, can have groups in which they can talk about what their needs are.
My name is Audrey, and I've been involved with the Occupy Olympia movement since its inception, I guess. Specifically, was getting involved with the First Aid Committee, which is what this tent was born from. We're staffed 24 hours a day. We have a collection of volunteers, people with experience ranging from basic first aid, CPR, to nurses, and we have a few on-call doctors. We initially intended to be really basic first aid oriented. We were going to have band-aids and alcohol wipes and you know, things in case there were issues with police and there was pepper spray involved. That was sort of our initial mindset when organizing this, but as it evolved to more of an encampment and less of a direct action, it became really clear that some more specific and long-term goals needed to be made. So we've evolved into something of a first aid, personal care, shelter-oriented Grand Central Station. We take in most of the donations that aren't food. Between the food, shelter, and first aid committees, we've kind of taken on a lot more responsibility than we expected to, because initially we advertised that we could help support anyone who wanted to participate in the encampment. We got a pretty large influx of houseless Olympians who need shelter and need food and need first aid and aren't receiving those things from the government entities that are established to provide them. There's a lot of really hungry people here. There's a lot of really cold people here. And we're treating persistent stomach ulcers, we're treating foot deterioration. We treated a stab wound that had gone untreated prior to us setting up tent here.
For one, we should all have health care. That should just be a given. They have that everywhere else.
There are certain things in society that should not cost the individual money. Health care. Yeah. Health care should not cost the individual money. We don't need health insurance, we need health care.
Yes, exactly.
Disease is a product, it's like oil, and they depend on it. So when you think about it like that, you have to take the big money out of the FDA that is supposed to work for us and protect us and give us the best medicine, the safest medicine available. And we're being denied that. To have a cure means their empire is gone.
A woman sent me an email, a really compassionate, thoughtful email that addressed whether or not this encampment at this time is a good idea. She said, in light of how cold it is and how wet it is, perhaps it would be better for us to have an occupation in spring. And my response to her was twofold. One, because this is part of a global solidarity movement, it by its very nature is occurring now and not in spring. And secondly, we are essentially managing the entire downtown houseless population here at our encampment. These people aren't cold and wet because we're camping out here. They're cold and wet because they're victims of an oppressive institution. They're victims of a system that isn't working. And for me, as a warm, well-fed, educated individual, to come here with my 2 children and just have our privilege smack us in the face, it's been really moving and really eye-opening. And this isn't sustainable. I can't run a mission for the rest of my life, but right now I'm in a park with people whose basic needs aren't being met. They're cold and they're hungry and they're sick and they're desperate. And for me to walk away right now it's unconscionable. It's unfeeling and irresponsible.
You got a lot of support. Like, this tent was given to him, and we are now camping in it. This tent was given to us from the occupation. You know, they support us not only with roof over our head, but emotionally and physically. A lot of these people are, you know, hey, how you doing? How's your day going? You look upset. What do you need to do? You need to go to the bar? Do you need to go chill? What's going on? You know, and that's a bonus to it. There's still people out there that believe we are all, you know, some bum that's gonna approach you. I'm homeless, I'm on the streets, I got a job. I'm not the type of guy that's gonna approach you in a rude manner and panhandle you, or aggressive panhandle as they would call it. I'm the guy, you know, it's excuse me, hey, how you doing? Got a couple bucks for food, you know. I am a recovering addict, not gonna lie. But being that my past is my past, I'm still getting like the repercussions of it, and I'm not liking it at all. I came here to be heard, to be not judged, to be all equal.
Yeah, living here day to day is very challenging, because a lot of people here are not actually protesters per se, firsthand. A lot of them, this place became a ground for the homeless people and Olympia. And I think that's actually a good sign too, to show among the protests that this is what we have in our society. And these are the people who need the awareness the most to show in our society, in our government system that has been oppressing for years. This is a problem that we have. And these are the people that are suffering the most.
We've been suppressed as not being able to develop the humanity that we are, and just barely getting by. And everybody is in so much maintenance just to survive that we hardly have the time. I mean, there's so many people out of work and home that this encampment can take place, that it's time, and it's not going to be reversed globally because the problem is everywhere.
I hope it continues, and we have a lot of threats of this being evaded, or we're going to be have an eviction like what happened in Portland and Wall Street occupation. So far that hasn't happened. I think it's just to try to scare us, and the police force come through here through the night.
If that's what it boils down to, that's what I'll do. I'll stand in front of the cops. I'm not moving my tent.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it might be that some people are reacting to people who are saying that, the cops economically are part of the same group. So you can't just say, they'll never take our side because, there are famous instances in history where cops and soldiers have, and on duty, not just off duty, have said, we're going to join you. I mean, all kinds of different things. But while they're on duty, it doesn't matter whether they're a part of our economic circumstance or not, if they're friendlier people or not. It's their official job to stop the movement.
But on my behalf, I believe the State Patrol and the cops, because you got to think we are not a part of Olympia PD, jurisdiction. We're on state property. This is state land. This is their jurisdiction. That's why the state troopers come out here and not OPD. OPD will do circles and try to mess with us and stuff. But the state troopers, I believe, in my terms, are very, very nice and very, pretty.
They work with
a lot of them, yeah, they work with
understand
us a lot. They understand what's going on. Actually, a couple of them are behind it.
I'm here because through the years, like everybody, I've been seeing a lot of the corruption and the greed and the way our politicians are bought off. And particularly, I don't like to see our corporations meddling in our elections. So I want to corporations put in the right category that they are, that they're a property that can be bought and sold, and they're owned by people, individuals, but they can't be lobby our politicians like they're a person, and they can't use money as speech because they are not a person.